The Gulf Coast Growth Show is sponsored by Chevron Pasadena Refinery and is an extension of the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region, where our mission is to market and grow a vibrant regional economy. All right, guys. Hey, and welcome back to the Gulf Coast Growth Show. I'm your host, Jason Lee. My co-host, Zeke Smith, was unable to make it today, but he'll be right back with us next week. And I want to welcome Mr. Brandon Hogan, the president and CEO of H&M Industrial EPC. Brandon, welcome to the show this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm glad we were able to get you on. Our show, we try to bring really a variety of topics and information out to the region. We want to keep you educated and informed. And I get probably most excited when we get guys that are actually in the trenches, doing the work, creating things, creating jobs, and then get them on the show to just really paint a picture of all the great things that are happening in our industry. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about Brandon's story, their business, kind of where it started from, and then he's going to give us kind of a behind the scenes, what's really happening in projects, how do those projects go, how does it impact you, what you got to expect in that type of environment, and then kind of his outlook in regards to the future, the market demands, things that are happening in our industry. So Brandon, we're excited to share that. So before we dive in, tell us a little bit about you guys, where you started from, like how you got in the business, and just give us the story of H&M.
Yeah, so H&M was started by my dad and his business partner, Dudley Masterson, 35 years ago. So they started out working in the plants. Piping designers is what they did, and they decided, hey, we think we can make a business of this. So little by little, they added additional designers, and over time, they added engineering, added construction. By the time I started 15 years ago, they were a full EPC company offering small EPC projects to clients. And so really the progression of it has been, hey, building capabilities to support our clients' needs over the years, and really just sticking to our core values. So from the time my dad started, and one thing I'm very proud of is we've maintained the core values, safety, team success, client experience, and continuous improvement. And it's something that we're talking about all the time, something that we strongly believe in. We hire and, gauge performance based on adherence to our core values. And really it's, pretty simple, trying to do the right thing, support clients, help make their project successful. And that's been, really the key.
Fantastic. So, and then for those that are listening that don't know, when you use the term EPC, right, and an EPC contractor, what does that mean?
So it's engineering,
okay,
procurement, and construction.
Okay.
And so what that means is a client will come to us and they'll say, hey, we have this project. We're thinking about expanding our plant in this certain area. We want to add this process equipment, or, we need to improve this ability, provide this commercial opportunity to a client of ours. We will start at the very beginning and we'll say, okay, let's talk about what this project is. We'll help them develop the scope. What equipment does it involve? Where in the plant is it? So we'll help them develop the concept in a front-end planning process. So we have the engineers and the staff to support that. So once we have the project scoped and we give them a cost estimate, hey, this project's going to be X amount, they can gauge, okay, does it meet my investment criteria? If the answer is yes, then typically the project will move forward.
Wow.
And then so from there, we'll do what's called the detail engineering, which means that, we're doing the piping design and the civil design and the pipe stress engineering and the electrical engineering, all the things that are involved in bringing that project together into a buildable product.
Wow. And
then we'll talk about materials and procurement, supply chain, how are we going to get the materials that are required for the project, and then we'll build it for them.
That's amazing. So, because I don't hear the term EPC outside of the plants, right? I mean, oftentimes I hear it in this industry, but for lack of a better term, you guys are the GC, essentially, right? So,
yeah.
And I'm using other terms, but essentially design building, but inside of a plant.
Yeah, that's right. No, yeah,
So
we're
specific to the plant industry is what EPC is.
Yeah, we're working in the plant industry.
Yeah.
We do some amount of commercial and other industrial type activities, but the majority of what we're doing is right here on the Gulf Coast. So we have office in Pasadena, we have an office in Corpus. So mostly we're supporting industrial facilities needs, companies that make stuff. That's who we work for.
Nice.
Yeah.
And so do you guys have to use, it sounded like a lot of the stuff was done in-house, but do you also recruit subcontractors and things like that as part of your business?
Yeah, we do. So we self-perform most of the core activities. So what that means is the engineers that are designing the project work directly for us. Our procurement personnel work directly for us. Our construction management and our construction field labor, they all work directly for us.
Okay.
But we do have subcontract partners that we work with routinely. For instance, electrical construction is something that we have partners that we work with
Nice.
to do that. Insulation, scaffolding, that kind of
Okay.
thing. We'll have partners that we work with there. But the majority of the project is executed by H&M personnel.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So how many guys do you have working for you total then?
So our current count is about 350 people.
350.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So that's fantastic. So 350 jobs. And remember, we always talk about these guys who create jobs for us, here in the region. And I want to thank you for being that, because for all those 350 guys that are creating that type of work, you're also creating jobs and people that serve those individuals, right? The restaurants, the food. Anytime you pull up in any restaurant on Beltway 8, any of these steakhouses right here, right? At noon, it's just stacked up, right? F-250s and tons of dudes in construction gear, because they're out there doing jobs like that you're creating. So we want to thank you for that, man. That's awesome.
Oh man, it's not me. Our success is due to those guys.
Yeah.
To those ladies and gentlemen that work for us in all capacities. I mean, they're the ones who really create the success. It's it's not me or it's not my dad. It's the team that has been built by H&M over the years. And our whole team is hungry for success, hungry to solve problems, to help clients achieve their objectives, and those people are what make us successful. So I want to thank them, and for the people who do what they do, because
Nice.
Truly that's where success is.
Fantastic, man. That's awesome. So now let's talk about one of the things you want to tackle today was really kind of giving people an understanding, because contractors sometimes get a bad rap, right? Because and I think they're getting squeezed on pricing or budget and changes and things like that. So I think you wanted to kind of come up and on the show and use it as a platform to say, hey, let me tell you why. What are the obstacles and challenges that contractors face? So kind of give us a behind the scenes look as to why it is that those things can be difficult when you go in and create a project, and then all of a sudden you've got budget changes or things are running over or things like that. So give us an idea of what happens in y'all's world.
Yeah, I mean, I can honestly say is that most contractors that I know of that we worked alongside with, or that you see working on project, most of them want the project to be successful.
Right.
Contractors are in it for the long term, including us. I mean, we
Right.
want our business is built on repeat business.
Right.
So we're truly invested in making projects successful. One of the ways to do that is to make sure that the project is very well developed and planned prior to the project start. So the most important thing to make a project successful is the planning and the development of the scope prior to the actual execution of the details. And so what you run into when that doesn't happen are the things that cause change and cause schedule delays. So the most, my message is that, hey, the most important thing you can do to make your project successful is spend some time before it starts to make sure that you have a good plan, to make sure that the proper things are done during that development stage in order to meet your objectives. Once you get into the project and things start changing, and the execution plan that you came up with to deliver the project, when that starts shifting around, it makes it really hard, to end up with the end result that you wanted.
Right.
We're going to jump through hoops and we're going to do everything that we can to try to make it successful. But man, starting with a good plan and starting with a good scope, that's the best way to minimize change. And to us, the best project has no change orders. Now that's
Right.
an ideal state, and it rarely happens because things happen, life happens, things change within inside the plant. But man, just having that good plan to start with goes a long way.
Well, it probably works in your favor to be an EPC contractor in the space, because if you're involved in literally from the discussion about what we want to designing it to engineering it to probably recruiting or doing your own architecture, I mean, everything that goes into that plan probably means less issues, right? Because I know a lot of times when I've got friends that are general contractors that are getting brought into jobs, the fight is always back with the engineers or back with the architect.
Right.
This can't be done,
Right.
There's this head bashing. So I'm assuming because you guys are built from the ground up, you can save a lot of those issues, right? It's like you've already figured out what can and can't be done because you're going to be building it, but you're also designing.
Yeah, I mean, we think that's one of the biggest values that we bring is a continuity across project phases.
Right.
So just like you're saying, and if we are responsible for the EPC of the project, it's really hard for our construction group to come back and say, hey, there's a change because the design wasn't right? Because we designed it.
Right.
So that's one of the values that we bring is, hey, we have to really think through those things in advance in order to provide a good project. So in the beginning stages, we have our construction folks and our supply chain folks involved in the project during the planning stages saying, hey, can we put equipment here to install it? Is this designed in a way that is the most efficient build? So we're thinking through all of those things in the early stages because we know that it's our responsibility in the later stages.
Fantastic. So let's shift gears for a second and just talk a little bit about really kind of the future of the industry, the direction that it's headed, any kind of market shifts or market demands. What do you see is happening and what's kind of your outlook? I mean, if you've been doing it for 35 years, how are you going to keep doing it for the next 35?
Yeah, I mean, I think the future of our industry is very bright. It's changing. There's no doubt. Things are changing and things will continue to change. But the future of our industry is very bright. Funny story. So I was recruiting at Purdue a couple of years ago and, talking to all kinds of students about, hey, what they want to do and stuff. And a young lady came up to me and she asked me, so, hey, why should I consider this? Because oil and gas is not going to be a thing 10 years from now. And my response was, well, number one, that's not true.
Yeah.
There's a lot of activity that will continue to happen in the oil and gas space. But also the future, whatever it is, will be built upon what exists currently. The current facilities, they're adapting to what the market demands. They're adapting to sustainability issues. They're providing the solutions. So the companies that are currently engaged in making products are the ones that are also going to provide the solutions for the future. Now, there's also new ways of doing things. We're working on a lot of alternative type projects, different ways and different approaches. And that's also opportunities that a lot of companies will see in the future. So things are changing, but man is strong, and Houston has built a very strong infrastructure to continue to support the world.
Well, until they can figure out how to create resins and all these things and do all this stuff without these refineries, we're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And I really don't see it happening. So
I really see it growing.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the more that we have to, I always tell people that, but every electric vehicle that's driving down the road is built out of tons of gasoline. Not gasoline, but out of tons of oil. There's oil in everything. So it's important to be cognizant of that and continue to, that's part of the reason of our show is to kind of spread the word. It's like, it's not bad versus good. It's really everybody working in concert to be a better place for the earth, but also realizing that we still have to do it in a manner that is efficient, effective, and working together. So it's great that you have that outlook. Let me ask you this question, just because it's a popular topic right now, but what are your thoughts on AI in your industry specific? What are you seeing? Because you got a lot of manual labor. There's a lot of things that are going on. Have you guys even adopted it yet? Or are there things that you're looking at in your business that you're considering where and how you can leverage AI?
Yeah, so that's interesting. I mean, ChatGPT is the latest thing, right? It's become my new best friend, right? Cool. Instead of getting six people in a room, you can type that in as a first stab at, hey, what are the opportunities in specific areas? But yeah, certainly us, like I'm sure most companies, are looking at opportunities to just improve efficiency. Hey, how can we get better at what we do through the tools that are available? So we're looking across all different types of platforms, both AI as well as other digital innovations. Ways to make our clients' jobs easier, other things that we can do, to eliminate steps, to improve efficiency. So yeah, we're looking at a lot of different things in order to get better at what we do.
Fantastic. One of the things that I was talking to a contractor about last week, he's a general contractor in the multifamily space, but one of the things he was sharing with me was how he is taking the ChatGPT and has built basically templates inside of ChatGPT for a bidding process. And so, again, I don't want to get out in front of my skis and start talking about stuff I don't know in the detail perspective. But he says he can get probably 60% up to where he can go on a type of project already in duplication through ChatGPT. And so the important thing that I identified was he's not removing his estimators or his bidders or the guys that are estimating from the project. They're not being done from that. But what he is doing is creating efficiencies.
Right.
So he's taking a big chunk of the tic-tac stuff that they have to do up front that's pretty duplicatable, and then just having the machine do it up front, and then bringing in his experts at a certain level. And so I don't think it's a Chat GPT or people. I think it's or AI or people. I think it's AI and people.
No,
you know?
I 100% agree. I mean,
Figure out how do you embrace it.
yeah, it's going to be a long time before we can replace the experience of the people that it takes to know if something's working right or not. But we, see similar things. I mean, I think at this point, what you just described is probably how most people are using those things, almost as, first drafts. How do we make people's jobs easier? How do we get them started on stuff? And we're taking a similar approach. But yeah, certainly I think there's huge gains coming in the pretty near future. I think right now we're just kind of piddling around with what those things might be.
Fantastic. So let's talk about big news for you guys. I think you're celebrating 35 years. Yep. Is that this year or in 24?
No, that's this year.
That's this year. So you're celebrating 35 years this
35
year.
Years.
Congratulations. So tell me, what's the secret to running a successful business for 35 years?
Man,
you're in your second generation, right? So
I'm second generation.
Dad started it. Now it's passed on to you. How have y'all managed to sustain that and weather all the storms that are out there for business owners? Because that's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I'll have to ask my dad, right? He's still around and he works every day. He shows up and he's in the trenches and, really just a passion for what you do, a passion for, helping solve problems, help making customers successful. My dad shows up to work every single day. He's there before most people a lot of times and thereafter people a lot of times. And so really it kind of embodies the spirit of just, taking ownership of making clients successful.
Nice.
And it comes down to our people and supporting our people. And, we are two people, right? Me and my dad. And so it's taking the team that we've brought in that are just the best at what they do. And so having a good team that surrounds you and just having a mentality of we're going to do what it takes to be successful and supporting your people in their efforts to do that. So like we're enablers. Our job is to serve our people and set them up to be successful. So that's really kind of the main thing. It's as simple as that, is really caring about your people and enabling their success.
Well, Brandon, one of the reasons I wanted to approach you on the show is because I know how vested you are in things like Vistage. And so anytime I meet leaders that are, and I think you've either done EOS or have been involved in EOS or have brought some of that into your organization in our past conversations. So it's cool to have a guy that I know isn't just showing up and stuck in his ways, right? Because a lot of guys, especially second generation business owners, they can get to a place where they're stagnant and they're making money and they're doing their deal, and then they get stuck, especially in the industrial construction space. Sometimes people are afraid to move forward. I think one of the things that really jumps out about you is that you are forward thinking. You are in these peer groups. You are trying to find ways to get better, and I think that's what takes 35 years from the history and carries another 35 years into the future, right? Is having that type of leadership, and the fact that you still own it, being second generation. It's not like it was given to you and you're taking it for granted, right? You can tell that you're still heavily invested in it, which is great.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for saying that. I mean, I'm a big believer in continued development for the people involved in the company, and yeah, I mean that's the fun part, right? Is learning new and better ways to do things.
Awesome, fantastic. So, and I know you're actively involved. You guys are involved here in the region with some great organizations. One that is near and dear to my heart. But why don't you share a little bit about those guys? Those guys. Share a little bit about them.
Yeah, so a local group that we support is Project Joy and Hope here in Pasadena.
Yeah,
so a local group, and they just do really great things. I mean, their hearts are of gold, the things that they do. So Project Joy and Hope is a pediatric palliative care organization. So really they support the families, during their most pressing time of need.
Yep.
And so they, help the kids and help the kids' families. And so they're involved in raising funds necessary to accomplish those goals. So
fantastic organization. Yeah. And now as we get ready to wrap up, is there anybody that you want to recognize, anything that you want to acknowledge before we get off the show?
No, really. I mean, just you kind of touched on it earlier. The secret to our success and growth is our employees. The people who work for H&M. I mean, they're very important to the success. We care deeply about them, And they're the ones who make us successful. And, our clients as well, we've been very fortunate to have some very good clients, some of which we're still working from the very beginning of the start of H&M. So, good clients, good people working around us, very supportive team that all, support and believe in our core values. So
fantastic. Awesome. And you kept using the word core values, and I think that's a great way to wrap up the show, because anytime I'm sitting in front of somebody who's had a successful track record and continues to be successful, I know that what I observe when I walk into their organization is an execution core values. And so let that be a great lesson for everybody that's paying attention right now. If you're starting a business, if you're growing a business, if you want to see your business succeed, it starts with values, and you build around it. You hire, train, develop, you bring everybody in the organization, and that's what you start with is values. And if you can do that, you're going to see your business thrive for 35 years or more. So again, congratulations on your success. For our audience, we want to thank you. Oh, real quick, Brandon, for if I'm running a plant and I happen to be listening to this show and I'm like, man, this Brandon guy, I want to figure out how to work with H&M. How do people reach out to you? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Yeah, so they can email me directly. My email is bhogan@hm-ec.com.
All right, fantastic. And for all you guys that sell stuff to people like Brandon, take it easy, huh? Yeah, your inbox is going to look a little crazy by the time you get out the shows.
I'll read them all. So
guys, we want to thank you for tuning in today. Brandon, you've been great. We always appreciate our audience for checking in. We're going to try to do the best to bring you great information. If you want to stay connected to us and our shows, the easiest way to subscribe and get plugged in is go to the Economic Alliance Port Region's website. You go right in there. There's a media channel. You click on that. You can subscribe, and all of a sudden now your phone is just going to give you notifications every time we launch one of these great episodes. Also, even though he's not here today, if you follow our show, you know Zeke Smith's on here as well as Jason Lee. So you guys can reach out to us on LinkedIn if you have a great guest or somebody that you'd love to plug us in with. That would be great to come on the show. Just message us directly on LinkedIn. We'd love to hear from you and stay plugged in. And as far as everything else is concerned, we appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for having me, Jason.
Thank you, brother. Thanks for tuning in, and be sure to go to the Economic Alliance Houston Port Region website and subscribe to our channels. Let's pay it forward by sharing the good news of what's happening in our region by passing this episode to somebody you know.